This is a Global Original Podcast. Coming up this week, the moment I locked myself out of my own house. Guy says, hurry up, I'm waiting to go to bed. Tell us about the lockout, mate. Oh, all right then. So I locked myself out of my house, which is surprisingly easy to do. I'm amazed I haven't done it already. Those plastic doors, what do you call them? Not like a proper wooden door. I got a cheap plastic door, and you put the key in. If the key is on the inside in the door, and you take your key, another key, with you outside, and then close the door behind you, you can't open your own door anymore because the key won't go in, because there's a key on the inside, and you can't. Well, the key actually goes in, but it won't turn, which seems like a design fault to me. I'd like to meet the person that designed that door to death. So, much swearing ensued. I couldn't believe it, because it was blooming freezing out, and I found myself with like pretty much just a t-shirt on, standing outside of my house with a key that would let me in if I hadn't been daft enough to leave the key in the door on the inside. No, Nick, you weren't daft. It could have happened to anybody. Why do you beat yourself up like that? Oh my God, can I get a bit of help here, please? So there was quite a while when I just couldn't believe what was happening to me. And I started shouting a lot to nobody in particular. Because when something like that does happen, you think, well, this can't possibly be happening, so there must be a way around this. I must be able to get into my own house, for crying out loud. All the money I've spent, I mean, it's not mine yet, it mostly is still the bank's, but there's a big chunk of my money in there. How can I not be able to get into my own house, I thought. And as much as I tried the key and over and over and over again, I kept asking it the same question and ended up with the same response. So I thought, well, okay, how am I going to break in? Because not only did I not have any warm clothes on, but I also had left my phone inside. Oh, no! So, and if you've ever been somewhere without your phone in the last couple of decades, you'll know that there is no telephone box for you to go and make a call to. And who would you call even if there was? When you don't have your own phone, you're pretty much a non-person. And I don't know about you, but I don't know any of my neighbours. I'm not remotely interested in communing with any of my neighbours. I don't care as long as they're just, they're quiet and they don't bother me. I'm not interested in going meeting them and having tea and taking cake around or any of that stuff. Which is, when they would have come in helpful, had they been chums, but they're not. So I'm standing outside my own house with a key that would fit the front door, except I've left the key in the inside of the front door so it doesn't work anymore, which does seem like a stupid design fault to me, and I don't have my phone. So, if I had my phone, then I'd have been able to, solve the problem toot sweet. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to break in. Now, there's scaffolding around my house at the minute. And I thought, which window am I least attached to? And it's the one right at the top of the house. And so I decided to climb up the scaffolding, which is terrifying. Because, and I mean this with the greatest respect, have you seen the people that put up scaffolding? Would you trust your life to them? No! And I find myself having to do just that. To trust that, they were, and when they put the scaffolding up, they don't seem to be paying that much attention to what they're doing. Because I was in the house when they were putting it up, and it sounded like I was surrounded by chattering chimpanzees. They didn't seem to be precise about what they were doing. That wasn't the feeling that I got. It felt to me like they were just chucking it up. So now I'm teetering on the edge of calamity, climbing to the top of my house, which is, and I'm not exaggerating here, it's about 1,000 feet up. It felt like I was at the top of a mountain. I'm very uncomfortable being that high unless I'm completely surrounded by windows and I'm inside. And so I took up a piece of metal. It was about like 2 foot long, the kind of thing that you put on a wall to hang a cheap shelf off. And I thought, right, okay, I'll break the smallest window in the house and I'll open it and I'll climb through, and then problem solved. Yes?
No.
No. It's amazingly difficult to break glass. I couldn't believe it. I was smashing and smashing and smashing with increasing force. I mean, I was really trying to break this glass, and the paint was coming off the piece of metal that I was using, but it had absolutely no effect on the glass whatsoever. I couldn't break it, and I was trying really hard. So I didn't want to, put too much vigour into it as far as my moving is concerned, because I was teetering on the edge of what felt like the top of the earth. Look, Ma, I'm on top of the world. Terrified. So defeated, I came back down and thought, right, I'm calling out the cavalry, and I'm going to pick up one of these scaffolding poles, which they just left, scattered around the place. Scaffolding poles are really heavy, and they're made out of metal, and you'd think that they'd be able to break the glass in your front door, because the front door's got some glass in it. I thought, no problem, I'm getting through that. Easy. I must have smashed it about 10 times, like I'm really going for it. With a heavy metal pole, it didn't even scratch the glass. How is that possible? I thought it would be a piece of cake to break into my house. Every time I leave my house, I think, well, somebody's going to break into this. A child could do it. I don't think Fort Knox has got so much security. And my windows are probably the cheapest that you could possibly buy. And so's the front door. It looked like the front door was going to come off its hinges before the glass in the front door would break. I looked at the glass the next day, there's not even a scratch on it. Who knew that breaking in was so hard? You have to take your hat off to criminals, actually. How do they do it? So anyway, I had to ask a complete stranger neighbour to call an emergency locksmith. And here's what you need to know if you call an emergency locksmith.
Warning! Warning!
You need all of the money you've ever made in your entire life. Robin Hood wasn't such a bandit. Do you know how much it costs to get into a house that I had the key to in my hand? And when he eventually comes over, he tells you what the call-out fee is going to be, and then there's a fee to open your front door. And the front door didn't open. I forgot to tell you about the part where I put a stick through the letterbox to try to get the key out, which only resulted in me locking it more. If you turn if it just comes on a latch, then it's locked once. But if you turn the key, then it starts a sequence of events that just locks it top and bottom. And so in trying to get the key out by fiddling about in the letterbox, I'd actually locked the front door more. So his price started to go up. The initial price would have been just to jimmy it open, which looked surprisingly easy, actually. You just put, I probably shouldn't say this, but you just put a couple of chisels in and you can pry the door open, which looked alarmingly easy to me and seemed like money for nothing. But because I'd locked myself out more thoroughly by trying to unlock it, the price went up. So he had to get his drill out and drill through the lock and render it into tiny bits. Final price to get into my own house? £235. £235 to get some bloke over to break my lock. But you know me, I never complain.
Stop whining!
Nelson tweets, you have the strength of a baby boomer. You should have asked a passing snowflake to help you break the glass. I'm not kidding. I tried really hard to break the glass. I thought it'd be a piece of cake. I mean, if you pick up a scaffolding pole, they're really heavy, and you propel one at speed at the piece of glass on your front door, you'd think it would go straight through, but it just bounced right off. I couldn't believe it. Sue in Shrewsbury says, just got the end of your locksmith story. Here's a thought. How do they know it's your house that they're helping you break into? Well, I thought that too. When I was standing there, well, I wasn't standing there, I was doing like star jumps just to try and keep warm. It was absolutely blooming freezing when I locked myself out of my house, like an idiot. I thought, how do they know that it's me who actually owns this house? Because if you, I don't know, if you lose the key to your lock at the gym, for instance, and you lock all your stuff in a locker, and you have to ask the bloke to come around and with a wire cutter and bust your lock, then they're going to ask, what's in this locker? They're going to want some sort of description, some kind of indication that you actually own that stuff in there. Here, have I done a break yet?
Yeah.
Is that you answering me?
No, sorry, I was on the phone. What can I do for you?
I'll have a cornetto.
With fries?
Yes, please, a cornetto and fries. Have I done a break yet?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we don't really know. The adverts aren't important. What was I talking about? Oh, yes. How will they know that it's my house? Is what went through my mind. And I thought, well, he'll ask to see some identification. And did I have any identification on me?
No!
No! But, they didn't ask. So, really, you could stand outside of any house, just call an emergency locksmith, and they'll get you in. Well, that's not security. That's the opposite of that. 0345 6060 973. Let's have, has been waiting the longest, Beverly in East Yorkshire. Mike.
Hi, Nick, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Rang up about Corbyn, but being a joiner locksmith, totally interested in your last 2 minutes talk.
Are you a locksmith?
Similar situation to what you were in, just charged somebody 700 quid.
What?
Because we had to trash the door to get in there. But how daft are you? If you've got a scaffold, what you do?
Beg your pardon. What?
If you've got a scaffold, you go up, you take 12 tiles off, you fold the felt back, you get into your loft, drop down into your house, and open your door from the inside for free.
Oh, please, like I'm going to do that? Teetering on the top of my sloping roof? Are you kidding?
Oh, no, it's not a sloping roof. You take the tiles off, you stand on the scaffold, take the tiles off, fold the felt back, go into your loft space, drop down through your loft hatch, and you're in.
Yeah, I'd rather just walk away and leave the house to be taken over by nature. Mike, are you surprised at how difficult it is to break glass? I don't just...
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, it's not an option. No, but the other thing is that if they could prise your doors with chisels, this is an easy option with plastic doors.
Yeah.
You can just prise them apart and open them. And I've opened them without doing any damage whatsoever. Buy yourself a composite door, and then it's partly done.
Well, no, I've got a composite. Listen to me. God, you really shout a lot, Mike. Get back off the phone a while.
I'm sorry, Nick. Is that better?
A couple of feet would be good.
Is that better?
I know. I can still hear you. I've got one of them composite doors, and the price just kept going up because it was £40 for him just to show up, and then it was like £90 for him to just prise the door open, which if I hadn't been stupid enough to lock my door more by poking a stick through the letterbox and trying to yank the key out, it would have been 90 quid on top just for him to prise the door open, which would have taken him about 2 seconds. But he wasn't able to do that, so he had to go and drill through a lock, and then the price just kept going up and up and up. £235. Get into my home.
Can I ask you a simple question there, Nick?
Yes.
Yeah. Haven't you got a back door?
Yes.
Well, why didn't he just pick the back door?
Well, it's because it's the same kind of door, and so he had to...
You presumably hadn't left a key in that one as well.
No, but it was locked.
So, just pick it.
Pick it?
Yeah.
It's not James Bond that came round. It was, some bloke in overalls and a bag with a drill in it. Pick it. We're not living in a movie. But thanks, Mike. 0345 6060 973. Actually, that is what I thought he was going to do. I thought he was going to pick the lock. I mean, it's not really master locksmith stuff, is it? Getting a drill out. I could have done that. Unfortunately, my drill was inside my house, which I'd locked myself out of. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. Greg emails, why didn't you just borrow a tank from the local museum and drive into your living room? Well, that is a good idea, Greg. I just selected the smallest window I could find, the window that I was least keen on, and I tried to smash my way in, and you just can't do it. I'm amazed how difficult it is to break glass. And these aren't expensive windows. They're the cheapest windows that are available, and you cannot break them. It's impossible. The door looked like it was bending in half under the weight of me smashing it with a scaffolding pole, and yet the glass in the door, it didn't even scratch it. I am stunned. I mean, it does make me think that the houses are much more secure, and I feel a little bit better leaving it now, because I always expected to, you know, like whenever I park my car, for instance, I always expect it not to be there when I get back. I'm always amazed that it's still there. But I'll feel a little bit better leaving the house now, because it's impossible to break in, unless you just make a phone call to an emergency locksmith. It doesn't matter. This is a tip for all burglars everywhere. That's all you got to do. Just pick the house of your choice, select, and then call an emergency locksmith, and they'll let you in straight away. You just have to give them 235 quid, that's all. Linda tweets, quite amazing too that nobody called the police while you were out there brandishing your scaffolding pole. Yeah, I wasn't quiet about it. I was making a heck of a racket. I did think that the door was going to come off its hinges before I could get through the glass in the front of the door. Because, you know, doors come with glass, and I always thought that's a bit of a security flaw. I mean, it looks like a weak link. No, it's not a weak link. The glass is the strongest bit of the door. Yeah, nobody called the police. I could have been anybody trying to break into that house. Chris texts, Steve Allen would have just walked away and bought a new house. That's right. Yeah, well, I'm not Steve Allen, so there. God, it was absolutely infuriating because it was so cold, and I just popped out. I just popped out to take a look at the outside of the house, and as the door shut, I just couldn't believe what was happening to me. And I thought, if I shout and scream and swear a lot, then that will probably fix it. No, unbelievably, that didn't work. Even if you swear really loudly, it doesn't magically unlock a door. Can you believe that?
No!
So, yeah, I probably won't do that again. Or, well, I don't know, I'm actually amazed I haven't done it again already. £235 to get into my own bloomin' house. And there was absolutely no check that it was actually my house. That seems like an error, doesn't it? There seems like there should be a law about that. Can you describe what's in a kitchen cupboard for me? Or I'll call the police, you'd think. A master locksmith would ask. No, I just stood outside a house. It could have been any random house. I just like the look of, he's got a video recorder in there. I'll take that. Galloway. Ian.
Hello, mate. Just trying to switch you out. Hang on a sec. I've got to get back on to... Now I can talk to you. How are you doing?
There you are. Yes, Ian.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you want to punch out a double or a triple glazed window, they need a hammer and a nail in the bottom corner.
A hammer and a nail? But,
yeah,
okay,
it's fire safety training from years back. They are really difficult to break.
Yeah, amazingly difficult. I thought it'd be a piece of cake.
Yeah, no, but if you've got a hammer and a nail in the bottom corner, you punch through that, and then the rest of the window will fail, and then you can get through it.
Huh.
It's one of those things.
I would imagine that it would cost a lot less to replace a window than it cost me to have my lock drilled out and have to replace the lock.
Yeah. Absolutely, but as I said, a hammer and nail in the bottom corner.
Unfortunately, Ian, my hammers and nails were inside the house that I just locked myself out of.
Do you not have a good relationship with your neighbours?
I don't know my neighbours. I don't wish to know my neighbours.
Why? Hang on, no, hang on. No, here we're really talking Corbynisa stuff here.
Are we?
Yes. Why do you not have a good relationship with your neighbours?
I don't want to hear them. I don't want to see them. As long as they are invisible and silent, then that's fine.
So you don't want to be part of the community?
Oh my! There is no such thing as community. Wind back to Margaret Thatcher. There's no such thing as community anymore, or society is what she said, isn't it?
It is what she said, and I live in a community, and I'm very glad to be part of it.
Well, you live in Galloway. There's 6 people live in Galloway. No wonder you know each other.
Well, it's slightly more than 6. I also lived in London. I also lived in Edinburgh.
You can't tell me that you lived in London. Which bit of London?
I lived in Clapham.
Please! You lived in Clapham, and you felt you were part of a community?
I didn't actually. No. At the time, I felt very, very isolated. It was only when I moved to Edinburgh and subsequently opened up Herbie that I became part of a community. So that was a thing.
Well, I think it's the thing that the fewer people that you are surrounded by, the more you are inclined to commune with them. But if you're in the middle of London or any major urban area, then there's so many people around that you just kind of close yourself in. It's like if you're walking down a street in the country, or like a road in the countryside, and you're taking a walk, and somebody comes in the opposite direction on an otherwise completely deserted thoroughfare, and you just acknowledge them. You say hello, good afternoon, how are you doing? Nice dog, that kind of thing. You know, only if they're actually walking a dog, because otherwise that would be weird. But if you're walking down Oxford Street and you say hello to every person that passes you by,
hello,
then people will think you're nuts. So I think you spread out more and are more sociable when there's fewer people around you. And where I live, we were just absolutely jammed in, so I would prefer not to have any neighbours, like, ever. At all. I would prefer to be so far from my nearest neighbour that I couldn't see him with binoculars. Then I'd be happy. I've got to go in. Here's Bethnal Green. Hello, Karen.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Great, mate.
Good, good. Just thought I'd reply to your little story about your incident with your door.
Yes.
I live in a very nice council area of Tower Hamlets, and we were given new doors, and this was not long after the Grenfell fire.
Yeah.
And we were told these were safe doors, they were great, everything was fine. So the first time I leave my premises, I left my keys inside. Now my old door...
Well, you'd have to be really stupid to do that, Karen.
Well, that's why I'm speaking to you, Nick. So I sort of sat there debating, and the only sort of good thing was I kind of have disabilities, which means I could have called 999 for help, to which I did.
Yeah.
And they were wonderful, and they let me straight back in.
How did they do that?
Do you know what? This is the thing, because these were brand new doors and they got in within 5 seconds.
How did they do that?
I have no clue. I was not allowed to watch the process.
Really? Huh.
Yes.
Well, that's suspicious. So the police have some sort of magic way to make a door open.
No, the fire brigade. The fire brigade.
Oh, the fire brigade.
They were wonderful, but
Right.
the irony of the story is, 6 months hence, to which my whole estate had all been given brand new doors, we were then sent a letter saying, all your doors have to be removed because they're not fire standard.
Right.
So we now have a second set of doors within a year, and this is an estate that has 6 high-rise blocks, 7 little low-rise blocks, and they literally done the whole estate. And then they've done the whole estate again.
Again, yeah. Well, that's forward thinking for you. All right.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Karen. So, there it is. You don't need to take your keys out of the house when you go. Lock your door behind you. Let it to slam behind you, and leave your keys inside. All you need is a fire person to help you. They can open doors like magic. And if you've learned nothing else from this show, then sadly you will have learnt nothing else from this show. And that's it. If you like this, you'll probably like what I write.